So let's get into it. Elon Musk recently did an interview discussing a bunch of things. However, one of the most captivating things was his discussion on his son Xavier and how in his mind his son is dead. This is what's so dangerous about this. I don't want to say the word woke, but this dangerous mindset and direction the world is going into, where a parent is tricked or stripped of their power as a parent to raise their child, and they're forced to sign off, forced to they're forced to support this gender changing decision. And it's very, very dangerous, man, because when I saw this video, I think there's so many parents in this world going through the same thing. And this is why this is so dangerous. This is why this election is so important. This is why this particular set of leaders that we have in our country, it's important because many parents, again, are either coerced or just neutered, and they're unable to sit here and raise their child. They're unable to sit here and say, no, my child can't take this medication, or you can't take this, go through this procedure. And if they do, then in California, they might go to jail. It's illegal. So I want to share with you this clip of this interview, and when I come back, I'll tell you what I think.
It happened to one of my older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This was before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he did.
That was a lie right from the outset.
Incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
That's
so I was tricked into doing this, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son, essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he talks about this woke virus, and it motivates him why he does what he does on Twitter. Like on Twitter, to me, is the GOAT app. That's my daily app I go to 4 or 5 times a day to get news, to get what's going on. And one of the things that I like about it is the fact that it's so objective, and they fact check a lot of these tweets, and you're able to see both sides. You're able to see a broad worldview. So that's one of the great things that Elon Musk has done. He gives people the freedom to express what you want to express. Do I necessarily agree with anything that's being shared? No, but I do think that people have the right. People have the right to choose who they follow, choose what they think, and one of the most dangerous things is groupthink, in my opinion. I think people need to have individual thoughts and, develop a worldview in a process. But watching this video, it was just so excruciating, and the pain you see in him discussing his son. For a very long time in the interview, I had to do research. I thought his son was actually dead, but what he was saying that his son was dead to him because he's now transgender. And I could only imagine as a father, to see your child go through this. Not only to see your child go through this, but to feel like, hey, you're a bit complicit because you signed off on this, and then to find out that this is actually, you were coerced. You weren't really given a fair chance to make a decision as to what's going on. Oh man, like just thinking about being in that position and how he must feel right now is crazy. Disclaimer. I don't want to sit here and completely blame this woke virus or blame the system. If I was in my shoes, I would just sit there and say, I'm gonna take care of my son. For someone to say, if your son doesn't do this, he'll commit suicide. I'm gonna call this a bluff. I'm gonna sit there and take my son, pray over my child, get him or her the help that they would need to get their mind right. This is a mental illness. For someone to sit here and to actually think you could change your gender, in my opinion, is a mental illness. Period. And I think that I will get my child the help that they need to get their minds right. That's why it's so important for us to spend a quality time with our kids. I know sometimes in the home we get so caught up at work and social media and sports and other things that's going on that we neglect our children. But I think it's important that when you can, be there, spend quality time with your kids, so they don't get to this point. Like I have an 11-year-old son and a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. My 11-year-old especially, we've had discussions about this, and we understand that this is not of God and this is not right. I think a lot of what's going on in this society and why, again, this election is important is because of an overexposure and to make people think it's okay, right? And they think it's a norm. So when they're exposed to it more, then they're more prone to following it. I don't think there are more gay people in 2024 than in 2000. I think it's more out on the forefront, and the more people are exposed to it, the more that they're saying, yeah, that's probably what I'm feeling. It's like mental health issues. I think a lot of people who are saying they have mental health issues is because of the fact of an overexposure to mental health. Not saying folks don't have legit issues and are not going through some stuff, but I think a lot of it is, it's all you see on social media. It's all people talk about. So then this causes people to sit here and say, yeah, that's me. That's what I'm going through. That's what I'm feeling. And when they're actually not. So I think a lot of what kids are going through and why it's on the rise is because of an overexposure of this. I remember my daughter, she's 3, and she was watching Sesame Street. And as she was watching Sesame Street, there was this guy. I don't know who he is. He's probably someone famous, but he's this guy that was on there with a dress on. And I'm sitting here like, this is not what I want my child to look at. So again, it's an overexposure. If you look at Mr. Rogers, right? That's the guy, right? Mr. Rogers is the guy Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He said, there's boys and there's girls. It was very clear the way that we were raised, the mindset that we were raised was what's shared on these public networks, not homosexuality, not transgenderism, not exposing our kids, because that's Sesame Street. So again, it's 1, 2, 3-year-olds seeing stuff like this and think this is okay. So this is very dangerous, and this is why this election is such a big one and a difficult one for me, because I do value character. I do value being good examples in society. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I think one of the things that the Republican side, the conservative side don't do, especially when looking to Project 2025, their goal is to make America white again. Their goal is to have less minorities in positions. As I'm not talking about just cabinet. I'm talking about judges. I'm talking about district attorneys. I'm talking about more on a local level as well, that they're trying to eliminate or reduce the number of minorities are in this position. This is why they're so anti diversity and exclusion, because that, taking that out the way, that removes the burden to them of being diverse. They don't like diversity. And to me, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I think as a father, I want my kids to see black judges and see black folks in cabinets and in high places, because that can inspire them to have something to strive for. So that's important. But I can't ignore, on the other side of the aisle, this type of push to LGBTQ and other type of behavior. I think it's something that we can't ignore. But I also want to use this moment to put the emphasis on the church. We can never expect the world to mirror the ethics of the church. This is why this thought of Christian nationalism is an oxymoron to me, because the world is the world, the church is the church. I feel that this climate, this is an opportunity for the church to rise up and to re-emphasize and to discuss Christian principles, and to make sure that we are the church, that we are different, that we are a beacon of light in a dark world. We are the salt of the world, that this is the opportunity for us to rise up, not expect leaders and not expect political leaders to do the church's job. Right. So I think that is also something that is important. That's also something that we got to think about. But I think to have such stuff out there where Elon Musk, a billionaire, got to the point where he felt coerced to allow his son to transition into a woman, and now to literally say my son is dead, is crazy. And I think this is the danger of this movement. This is what you see out here as well. Like, the world is wicked. The world is dangerous because this stuff is out there so heavy. We can't allow this to happen. We can't just sit back. But I think also as parents, as grandparents, as aunties and uncles, we got to do our best to make sure we're here for our children and instill in them Christian values. So when they're confronted with this in school, like, nah, my dad already told me that this is crazy. My mom already told me that this is not what God wants. So they're not feeling pressured. We're already instilling in them in something. What we do is we have our kids go into culture, go into the world empty, with no principle, with no godly principles. So the first thing that they're introduced is the world. And it's then after it's spirals out of control and become a little bit too late. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to make this too political, but I also understand that the trend and the culture that we're living in, the world that we're living in, and what's out there, there are a lot of parents who are probably going through the same thing. There are a lot of folks who feel that they were coerced and their arm twisted to force themselves to make sure this happened. Like I said in California. Now the law is you cannot prevent your kid from doing this. You don't have to the school don't have to reveal to their kids, to the parents, what their kids want to do. So now the kids don't have to say, hey, mom, dad, I have these feelings. They could just go to their teacher, and the teacher's not obliged to make them repent or tell their parents. So what do you think? So when he goes to the schools, what do you think they're going to say? Oh, that's normal. It's okay to have homosexual feelings. It's okay to feel like you're you're a female trapped into a man's body. We could fix that for you. Slowly eradicating and removing the power of parents, which then not slowly, but quickly eradicates the power of a society. If you have no home structure, society is weak. It has no chance to stand. So, man, Elon Musk shares this, and this really touched me. And just to see the anguish on his face, like as he was talking, you just see like the pain, and I wish no one has to go through that. I wish no one has to experience this particular thing. That sucks. And it's tough. Tough for him. Man with all this money in the world has a son who he was forced to agree to let him transition. Man, what kind of world are we living in? Dog, like what kind of world are we living in, man? This is crazy. That this is the norm, that parents just have no rights. And we're being bamboozled, and we're giving false information. Where these puberty blockers are actually sterilizing kids. What is we live? What kind of world are we living in? What is this? But that's why it's important. That's why it's important to watch and pray. That's why it's important to instill godly values into your children. So when they get introduced to this stuff, they'll be like, too late. My mom and dad already spoke to me, and I know what's going on. So, tell me what you think. Give me your feedback, your thoughts. And this was crazy. I saw this on my Twitter feed. I said I have to drop a video on this and to share what I think and to let people know the importance of voting, the importance of the times that we're living in. So tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel. Am I bugging? Am I being extra? Am I wrong? Let me know. But don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. God bless you. I love you. Peace.